I gotta tell you, this is really interesting. Having all these little extra features really makes you appreciate the tablet or laptop a lot more. Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're checking out the 11.6-inch 2-in-1 convertible notebook made by Gateway. Now, I know Gateway isn't really common anymore. You can probably still see it in Walmart, which is where I got this one from. The one thing that stands out here, besides the Qualcomm Snapdragon logo, is Windows 10. Now, to me, this tells me this is a little bit of an older version that they're giving away, because this is going for $129 right now. So I guess this is like their clearance price at Walmart. Because on here, the sticker says the upgrades will be delivered late 2021 and 2022. So this tells me this would have been made around 2021 or even 2020. I wouldn't be too excited about these specs. The Snapdragon 7C, that's a really low-end processor. Down here you've got some more specs, as well as mentioning it's a Qualcomm Kiro 468 CPU. And there's nothing else on the back here. Here's everything that comes in the box. Interestingly enough, you actually get your own little, stylus pen with a AAA battery to install in it. That's really interesting. I would have never expected this on a budget laptop like this, or 2-in-1, whatever you want to call it. This actually has a battery pre-installed, so this is just an extra one. So I appreciate them giving an extra one and having one installed already. So this is what the laptop looks like. It's just made of plastic all around. It feels kind of hollow on both ends, even though it is a little bit heavy and kind of thick too. But the interesting thing is that this actually has a couple of features from the outside. The camera can be flipped inside. Wow, I actually never saw that before. Okay, so here's the webcam. It seems to be a little bit better than that Samsung Galaxy Book Go device, because it's not like lagging too much, but it's nothing crazy. I don't even know if it's straight or not, like if my hat is off to the side or whatever. In general, these webcams on every single laptop I've tried, they tend to suck. You're better off getting an external webcam, like the AMI S600 Ultra, which is super simple to set up by plugging in the USB-C cable to the camera and your PC. This has 4K support for crisp and clear focus when you're on a call, teaching, etc., or even 1080p to get 60 FPS for smoothness when streaming, as well as having autofocus. Not to mention, there's an integrated privacy screen with an easy twist to quickly open or close. Get yours today. There's also LED or light indicator showing that it's connected to Wi-Fi and the power. So let's see in here. Got all this blue here. It looks kind of weird actually. I don't know why they have it made like this. And this is really flexible too, because you can put it in a tent screen. So if you want to watch videos or something on this 1366 by 768 display, there's that option. You can bring it all the way back to tablet mode, which is, again, really interesting. I just realized that on top here, you can place the stylus if you don't want to use it. Oh, and it's like magnetic. This is actually cooler than I thought. I also noticed this on top. This is actually a handle to carry this around. I gotta tell you, this is really interesting. Having all these little extra features really makes you appreciate the tablet or laptop a lot more. On the right side, you've got some ports here, and there is a flap that covers everything. It doesn't go out too much, but it's alright. On the other side are the rest of the ports here. You got a lot more. At the end here is the SIM tray. So you can actually use a SIM in this, and it can connect to internet on its own. Well, not on its own, but it doesn't need to rely on Wi-Fi necessarily. This has one of the thickest bezels I've ever seen. Being a 1366 by 768 resolution isn't really much of a problem for me or concern, and I'm sure most of you won't have an issue with this too much. Obviously, the more the merrier. But the biggest issue, in my opinion, with the screen is the fact that it doesn't get too bright. This is the brightest that it gets. And I want to say this is like maybe 200 nits or something, less than your average laptop or even tablet. The one thing that this has at least is a full IPS screen. Shouldn't say full, but an IPS screen basically means you won't have any trouble with viewing angles when you see it way too high up or too low. It's not going to look burned out or too bright. That's one redeeming quality that this has compared to like the Samsung Galaxy Book that I looked at not too long ago. The keyboard is actually, there is some feedback here. It does feel kind of cheap, like you're pressing into something a little hollow. And then the trackpad is there, of course. The trackpad does work pretty nicely. I haven't really noticed any issues with that. And you know, honestly, the keyboard wasn't bad either. I never noticed any slowdowns
per second. That can be a cause for concern when playing games and hold you.
So the speakers are fine, they're located on the bottom. Whoops. This is perfect when you're in tablet mode because the speakers are kind of facing forward, although the screen is blocking it. Right on the bottom here, left and right corners. Nothing too crazy again. And this stylus is kind of clutch too. Haven't noticed any issues when using it. I actually do like using it. You can use your finger, of course, if you want to. But I just find the stylus to be kind of neat for a big screen like this, and to kind of hover around. Out of the box, you don't really have too much storage space here, and there aren't too many applications pre-installed, with the exception of like some of these games, which I don't know why they're installed. And I guess there's Prime Video and TikTok. So that stuff is installed. When you uninstall some of this stuff, it'll get freed up by maybe a couple hundred megs at most. Nothing crazy, so really not much out of the box. I noticed my battery life was getting pretty low here. I'm at 24% now. I've had this on since about 4:05 p.m., give or take, or sometime around there. Haven't used it the whole time. I mean, at certain points it was off, I guess 30% of the time, and then 60% of the time I was actually on web browsing for the most part. And I'll get to that in a second, but wow, I gotta say this battery life is actually, I guess, better than expected for your basic tasks. You can expect this to last all day if you want to. In terms of web browsing, I noticed that things take a little longer to load on here, like Reddit, and I'm not saying like the internet's slow, but it just takes more time to render stuff. So yeah, if I go to reddit.com real quick, and I'm going back and forth with certain subreddits, and it might take a little bit longer to load certain things. Oh man, don't want to get copyrighted here. But anyways, oh, I do have my SIM card installed, by the way, and on here you can tell that this is actually, I don't know how accurate that is, because here's the thing, 167 as a download speed and only 5.85 megabits, this is not consistent. And when I first tested this, it was at like 70 megs, and then upload speed was like over 7 or 8, I want to say. But then it just kept going higher with the download speed. So I'm not sure how much I can trust this, but so far I haven't noticed any issues. I am on LTE currently, from what I can see here. You have T-Mobile LTE. Since it's nighttime, there is a nightlight mode here. Definitely appreciate it. And I think that lack of brightness is probably going to be the biggest issue here. Granted, you can still watch videos at HD or even full HD 1080p on YouTube and other streaming platforms, I'd assume. First game here is Roblox, and this game seems to be lagging on this Cops and Robbers version. Yeah, it's not too smooth. I tried another mode and it was much smoother, but I was just walking around for the most part. So I guess this is, you could say this is playable. Kind of, just barely. This game, Forge of Empires, is a web game. I did try out one other web game, and it was just a low-end 2D game, but nonetheless it worked pretty much fine. I didn't notice any major issues there. So low-end gaming works just well on this, but I do want to try out a Steam game like Dark Souls. Every time I've tried loading this game, it just doesn't work, so I have it at the lowest settings now, not even at full screen. Let's see if this works. Don't have too much faith in it, since it crashes every single time. This might just load, and it might be at really bad frame rates, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see here. Man, right when I just stopped recording, it crashed completely. Games don't really load like Steam games on here. Maybe something really low end, because something that's not 3D I think might load, I'm not too sure. But yeah, Dark Souls 1 is like the easiest game to load, I would think. But either way, this really isn't meant for too much gaming. Regardless, for what it's worth, I think it's actually a pretty good choice for your basic tasks and what you're able to do with this. I really like all the little features that they have, including things like the stylus, this being flexible enough to turn into tablet mode or tent mode. And by the way, when you do change it to tablet mode, the first time or two, you'll get an option to click change to tablet mode. Yes, let me click on that. And then it's going to show up all these tiles, so it's going to be more user-friendly. So that's actually really nice that they have that. It's not too slow or anything to do basic tasks, so that's another thing. Oh, and finally, this is kind of an underrated feature in my opinion. Having this handle makes it much more easier to carry around. I know it's a really small thing, Probably doesn't even matter because you can carry it on the side, but it does make a difference, because if you're holding on to multiple things, this definitely isn't going to fall off. It's definitely a lot easier to carry around and much more appreciated. So yeah, I like this overall. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is there something better at this price? Because I think for $129, this is pretty good. I know they're selling other kinds of versions on Walmart's website, but I don't know if those are worthwhile with the Intel Celeron one. But that costs like $20 more than this. I don't see any reason or what difference that would make if you go with that one versus this one, because this performs just fine doing your basic tasks. And I'm not expecting that other one to be able to play Steam games or whatever, so it's kind of like one and the same to me, in my opinion.